You have one of these Land Cruisers. Do you? Does it make a strange noise when you start it? This one does. So let's go ahead and fix it. So I've done a lot of work on this Land Cruiser as of late. I wonder if you can hear, close the door so you don't hear that. I wonder if you can hear the noise it makes. I'll put you under the hood. Ooh! You hear that disgusting sound? Let's try it again. Did you hear that? So that noise is the starter. So all I have to do is replace the starter, right? But Toyota, in their infinite knowledge, decided to put the starter under the intake manifold, which I guess is a good idea for whatever reason. I don't know. Anyways, this Land Cruiser has had a lot of work done to it. I did the brake master cylinder. I ended up doing the timing belt and water pump and assembly and all this. Valve cover gaskets. I did a whole bunch of work. Now the starter decided to fail on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip this off, show you how to do it. It's not very hard. It is a lot more work than just replacing the conventional starter. So let's get started. First of all, we're gonna take this off, and I'll show you what you need to watch out for, what you need to take off to make this job as less of a headache as possible. So now that we have that off, you will have to remove these connectors to your throttle body, this hose, your evap solenoids over here, just the hoses. I think we could leave that on. Injector plugs, of course, this whole thing out of the way, this pipe that goes across, this one that goes across for your accelerator. Actually, we might be able to leave the throttle body intact. I'll see. Anything that's attached to it, because this has to come all the way off, has to come off so we can get a clean look at what's in there. Because what we don't want to do is we don't want to have trash near the intake port. So when you pull the intake, it falls into the cylinders. So let's start removing some parts here. So far, one thing I see here is, in order to take this throttle body assembly off, there's a coolant line here, a coolant line down there, a bunch of connectors. So the easiest way is just take the 4 bolts that hold it to the intake manifold. Just be careful when you pull it out. The gasket right here, just make sure you don't damage that on the way out. You don't want to snag the end of this or the edge of this. See where the bolt holes go? You don't want to snag that and damage that gasket. This one stayed on, so I'm just going to leave it. The next thing is these injector connectors are real tough to get off, but they're in great shape, which is good because I worked on some of these cars. You pull an injector connector off and it falls apart in your hand. So the easy way I found to do this is just gently with a pair of pliers with a bent end like that. Just grab the edge, depress the little retainer, and then pull the injector connector out. The one thing I think is weird is this this fuel line doesn't come off. It seems like it's part of the assembly. Oh no, I found it. So I have to take looks like I have to take the fuel pressure regulator off, or whatever that thing is right there, to get this line off, because I don't want it to snag when I pull it out. So that's all it was. I put a 7/8 wrench on the end of that and spun that off, and the fuel line came right off. Well, so intake manifold's off. This is what we're looking at. There's the starter, right where it should be, I guess. And all you have is this connector, and mine actually broke, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. And I gotta take that ground out, and I think there's another connection, the battery connection, and that white connector deal. But I'm gonna loosen up the starter, and the starter bolts from the back side. You can see the bolt right here. So there's I think two. Well, that was a pain in the butt. There's two 14mm bolts. They have a long head at the end of them that bolt in from the back that hold the starter in place. There's one 12mm right there that holds this wire in place. Your battery cable is actually in here, connected right there. Not this one, but that right there. I already connected it. In order to get that loose, you have to have the starter loose, get it out of the way. Everything's just a little bit harder than it needs to be. And also, I broke one of these. Luckily, I had already ordered these, so I have those in my garage. I'll go ahead and put this on now that I'm here. And I just need to, hopefully, I'm gonna zip tie this connector. Like I said, it came loose. And put this ground on, and we should be good to go.
Once the starter was installed, I made sure all the bolts were tight, resecured that connector, installed new gaskets. I went ahead and re-torqued the intake down. It's always a good idea to do that when you're dealing with an aluminum manifold.
There you go, guys, all back together. Went ahead and replaced that coolant tee right there, broke. And I had already ordered extras just in case, because I kind of had a feeling those were gonna break just because they're old. And everything's back together. So I'm gonna put you guys down real quick. Go inside and start this sucker up. See if it still makes that noise. Well, guys, that was it. It's all installed, running, not making any noise. Just another repair on this old Land Cruiser. So the repair wasn't bad. It was a little tough. It seems like Toyota just made it that much harder than it needs to be. But you just gotta take your time, get the parts out and all that. But anyways, thanks again for joining me. Please like, subscribe. Catch you on the next one.